and structural problem. With its dubious yet attractive promises about the saving of time, the reduction of labor, and the expansion of value, it gives us tantalizing glimpses of a world in which social life will no longer be organized by labor, while indexing one that continuously regenerates the conditions keeping labor's social necessity in place. Notice how the appraisals of labor, time, and value that our judgment of the gimmick conjoins are left unparticularized, as if implicitly grasped as historically relative and moving. This is strikingly akin to Kant's judgment of beauty, which not only claims universality in the absence of concepts, but, as Rodolphe Gachet suggests, denudes or strips the concept of content, retaining it as bare form, or in Kant's words, merely formal, bloß. Similarly, our implicit assessment of the deficient or excessive amounts of labor, value, and time objectified in the gimmick all presuppose social norms that the act of judgment leaves unspecified. None of the appraisals encoded in our judgment of the gimmick thus interfere with its effective spontaneity. Rather, our experience of the gimmick underscores the surprisingly dynamic formalism, the formalizing activity of aesthetic judgment overall. Grounded in feelings activated by appearance as opposed to in concepts, rules, or laws, aesthetic judgment is by definition neither cognitive nor practical. Yet such judgments are crucially elicited in its immediate aftermath. In the gimmick, specifically, our spontaneously affective, explicitly aesthetic appraisal of an object's form as unsatisfyingly compromised triggers and comes to overlap with economic and ethical evaluations of it as cheap and fraudulent. Labor, time, and value are of course interconnected non-aesthetically through the billions of interactions between capital and labor that enable the calculation of wages, profit, and interest. This interconnection presupposes a mode of production involving competition between capitals, the equalization of intrasectoral profit rates, and the structurally compelled transformation of labor processes toward increasing productivity. If the gimmick seems too expensive or too cheap, it is because the technology behind it is too new or too old. And the fact of technology being too new or old often directly accounts for why a gimmick seems to be over or underperforming. These relations hold true in reverse. If the gimmick seems to be working too hard or too little, it is because the social timing of its appearance is off. And when it is said that a productive technology has arrived too early, what is meant is that its cost is proving too high. These ratios get filtered into the conscious and unconscious decisions of all producers and consumers. Yet each carries a seed of worry that the gimmick objectifies. If the overworking device generates the image of too many goods produced per hour for the market to absorb, its underworking twin generates the image of not enough goods produced per hour for a producer to stay competitive. These images, in turn, invoke bigger specters, such as overproduction or underconsumption, leading to surplus or idle capitals, structural unemployment, leading to surplus populations, and economic stagnation. All lurk at the edges of our sensory encounter with the gimmick's ostentatiously impoverished form. The gimmick thus names an experience of dissatisfaction, mixed for all this with fascination, linked to our perception of an object making untrustworthy claims about the saving of time, the reduction of labor, and the expansion of value. No other aesthetic experience so directly invokes, as if explicitly to solicit our misgivings about these promises. At the same time, the hoaxes of Edgar Allan Poe and P.T. Barnum, avid deployers of the gimmick avant la lettre, reminds us that the suspicion that the gimmick activates can be counterintuitively enjoyed. In this legacy of deliberately introducing doubt into aesthetic experience, continued in Marcel Duchamp's incorporation of the gimmick's brazenly contemptible form into his ready-mades, staged collisions of artistic and value-producing labor designed to highlight their equivocal relation, John Roberts argues, and in Alfred Hitchcock's fondness for what D.A. Miller calls compelling but meaningless displays of technical virtuosity, which might be read similarly. It becomes clear that suspicion does not come only in one unhappy flavor. Poe, Duchamp, and other deployers of gimmicks remind us that it is often rather an occasion for comedy